Live from the dorm room.
We out here.
We out
Boy.
here.
That's the intro.
That is the intro.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome everyone to the fourth episode.
Is it the
Look at
fourth?
us. It is the fourth.
Look at
I
that.
checked. We're so consistent.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd get
four
past
episodes, 4 episodes in 8 months. We're on a roll.
That's one every 2
Quarter?
months.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
us. Quarterly.
Dang. Even math. That's awesome.
I would say we're getting more consistent, but I don't think we are. But we're,
Well, I mean, we're getting more consistent than we were before, but that's still not consistent. How's that?
yeah, there you go. That's a win.
We're a little bit closer, but not yet.
You know, we're continually being renewed.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I like that. The Jesus juke. And it hasn't even been 5 minutes. That's awesome.
That was just, that's like very spiritual, but, it's
Yeah, I know. I love it. Let's do it.
fine. So how
All
are
right.
you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good. We just finished Bacon Brothers, which is our men's breakfast every other week. So we
They all
had
start at,
17 guys there.
4:30.
Yeah, I got there about 4:45 to help cook.
Jeez.
So, yeah, it was really good. So a lot of guys and good prayer and like a good cross section of guys. So you've got like a doctor, an attorney, farm, a guy that works at the detention center, like just all over the place kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
What
did
about you?
not get up at 4:00, but I showered and I got
Well,
ready.
there you
so
go.
that's a win. It's
Yeah.
more than what normally happens for this. So
Well,
I'm
Boom.
killing it.
that's
Boom.
right.
Yeah. So life's been fun the past few months.
It's a good word for it. Yeah, it's a good word for it. Has been fun.
What is
Yeah.
we didn't really talk about this before we started, but what is like what's the biggest, I don't know, thing you've learned in the past 2 months?
That there is nothing that I am able to control.
Mhm.
I don't have any control of really hardly anything, and I think there's this illusion of control that follows me, and that when I lose the little bit that I have, then it kind of throws me into a tizzy. So that coupled with there've just been there's a couple of verses that have really hit me like in a different way in this season. So, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief is just that, that paradox of like, I believe, but I don't, like you're kind of in the middle and you want to, but you're not really sure. So, I don't know. I just feel that deeply right now. So, yeah. And just the Psalms, where you're crying out to God and you just say, how long is this going to happen? How long will this go on? And so, it's just a lot about, being okay in the waiting, and just in the middle. Somebody was talking to me the other day, and just said, right now we're in the middle. And so, just kind of lean in because, God, I don't know. People have different ideas on this, but I don't know that God causes everything to happen, but I know that he uses everything for his good, for his glory, for our good. And so I know that in every situation that he is able to grow me if I shut up and pay attention. So.
That's not
What
how
about
I
you?
thought you were going to finish that, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing good. It has been interesting. Like on a couple hands, it's been a really good couple months, and then, on the other hand, not really. And so I think I've been kind of forced into rest in a way. And just like kind of learning to separate myself from, I don't know, distractions or things that like, I think one of the hardest things for me to do is to just like sit and be okay.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, this is partly culture, but partly just like me, but I feel like I always have to be doing something. And I know that that's not something that's unique to me in our family.
No, not really.
But I've been proud of y'all lately because y'all, I don't know, for the past 6 months, I've like actually been doing a Sabbath and like actually resting for a 24-hour period, which is, I don't know. That was really nice for me to see y'all adopt because I think that's something that I've been trying to, maybe not as like scheduled and structured as y'all do it, but a little bit more just in my daily life of like, I don't know, you can get to the end of the day and you realize that like, I didn't take any time to like, you know, the day just ended and I wasn't in control of it. You know, I didn't take any time to just like sit and process or rest and just enjoy life. So I think that that's been something that I've been trying to do. I think it helps. Leaving my phone on my bed and just like taking a walk or going about life, like, you know, it's helpful.
It's all going to be there when you finish, you know, like it's not like, and when you finish everything on your to-do list, there are 50 other things that replace those things on your to-do list. So
I've never had an empty to-do list.
So I mean, you're going to have to, you know, I'm going to have to be intentional and just say, I got it. Yeah. It's good.
One thing, I think we talked about this a little bit before we went live, but I think something that me and some of the people in my life have been walking through is this like idea of hope, you know, in the verse. And if I was prepared, maybe I would have had the verse, but, you know, hope does not put us to shame.
Yeah.
And I think like that concept is really interesting when you're walking through stuff and processing stuff and believing for stuff and like just, you know, I think there's such an emphasis on hope and faith in living life. And then sometimes, you know, I think that there's certain circles or certain people that just kind of ignore the fact that anything's wrong, you know, like I have faith and I have hope. And if something bad happens, then it's like, well, but he's still good, you know? And like kind of ignoring that. And like, I just really want to like, not want to, but I've been sitting and wrestling with like, what do we do when it doesn't feel good? You know, what do you do when you hope and you are put to shame in a way? And so I was kind of journaling a couple weeks ago and thinking back through like the last, I don't know, 10 years of my life. It was a very introspective night, I guess. Yeah. But for people that don't know, you've been a worship pastor, you know, doing music at a church for as long as I can remember. Now you've only worked at the church that you're at now for what? I mean, still 10 years probably.
Yeah. I think it's going on 9 or 10.
But probably, I don't know, 7 or 5 years before that, you were still doing music for a church.
I was.
Just part-time. But I think like when I got saved and then, you know, just after I went through the whole, we've both done music our whole lives, but after my phase of wanting to be a band director and a choir director, like I think the thing that I settled on was wanting to do music at a church. You know, cause I got saved really young, really like fell in love with Jesus at a pretty young age. And so, I mean, just, it kind of made sense. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a worship pastor, do music at a church. And that seemed like a very realistic goal, you know? Like,
for sure.
It didn't seem like something that would have, I don't know, like I went to college for music because obviously Eastern New Mexico University doesn't have a worship leading degree necessarily.
No, they have not.
I tried to get minor in religion and that lasted half a class, maybe. And then I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, since I was 15 years old, that was kind of something that I wanted to do. And through college, after college, got a job at a church, started doing sound engineering, which in my head was like, this makes sense. This is a good like stepping stone. It's
moving closer to the goal.
Serve my way to my position. Be like, it might be nice to learn this side of things before I like do that.
Yeah.
And then I got into photography and, took a job doing social media and stuff at the church instead. Yeah. And that was kind of the first time when I was like, this isn't like playing out like I thought it would, like there was part of me that really loved that. And obviously I was doing that freelance on the side. And so it just like, it kind of made sense and I enjoyed it. But there was always this like, but this isn't like what I've always wanted to do. This isn't like the real dream,
Right. Yeah.
And there's a ton of stuff we could go into. And I think I had opportunities to do music at the church that I was at, but it more so felt like, for me, it felt like I was only asked to do it when it was convenient for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, anytime I felt like I expressed like, this is, ultimately my goal is like, I want to do worship and that's what I would like to be doing full time. It was kind of like, well, you're better elsewhere and we want you other places, Yeah. And I don't know if it was explicitly said at least once, but most of the time that was kind of just the general vibe that I got.
Right. Right.
And so that's discouraging and whatever. And so, we don't have to get into all of that, but I think like through that, there was always this wrestling of like, this is kind of what I feel like I want to be doing and have always wanted. But like, if that's not what I'm supposed to be doing, then I guess that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I just kind of kept walking, I got to a place where there was probably 2 years, maybe 3 years of my life where I was like, I just don't want to dream anymore,
Yeah.
And I think you and me have talked about that, but I was like, I really am submitted and I want to like, I don't want to live life on my own and I don't want to just do my own thing. And so like, I trust that like, God, if you have a better plan, then like, sure. But I'm like, if you're going to keep changing the plan, then I'm not going to make a plan. Cause like,
why don't we just take out the middle, man?
Yeah.
You just do what you're going to do.
I'm okay
and
with
I'm along
you.
for the ride.
Yeah. But it's like, it's easier for me to do that than to like dream and then keep having that dream be crushed.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very melodramatic statement, but
it's true.
Like, yeah.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, you feel like this is where you're supposed to be. And, we talked about it before we went on air. And I think we talked about it just now too, like this idea of being in the middle, like, what do your dreams look like when you're in the middle? Like, do you have hope that those dreams are going to be fulfilled? I was leading worship at a church before I moved into ministry full time at a church. And when, I think you know this already, but when I went to college, I decided I was going to get a telecommunications minor. I'd been working at the TV station a bunch, and so I figured that it would be good for me to be able to get a job like in news or something, because then I didn't have a teaching degree. So all I had was essentially I graduated because I had enough credits to graduate because I took so many music classes. So I was like, well, I guess I'm done. So I left with a music degree, but it was just a Bachelor of Science. And so then had the telecommunications minor, moved to Albuquerque to follow my then fiance. That blew up. Another podcast. And I interviewed, and I didn't even interview. I applied for every news station in Albuquerque, and never got a single call back. They wouldn't even consider me. And so then I ended up working at a restaurant with a music degree. I mean, that was literally the only thing that I was able to do. So I moved back, got my teaching degree, and about let's see. I was teaching for 15 years, about 11 years in, maybe 11 years after, my teaching had started, more after I had actually, graduated from college. Mr. Nusser, principal, was sitting on a bench next to me. We were just sitting talking, and he looks over to me. He said, "Hey, Franklin, what do you think about starting a media class? Like, do you think that's something you could do? Maybe to like live stream stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "You know what my minor is?" He said, "No, I have no idea." I said, "Well, my minor." Jeez. I said, "My minor is telecommunications." He's like, "What's that?" I said, "Well, like audio and video stuff, like doing essentially what you're asking." And he just asked me because he knew that I was good with computers. So he figured if I was good with computers, I could figure out everything else. Yeah. So long story long, I went for the majority of my grown-up life with a minor in telecommunications that I'd never used and never thought I would use. And now started a media arts class, got a huge grant for it. And then there's a ton of people, like you and like other. Yeah.
I was there the first year you did it. I think, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that are benefiting from that media arts class even now, like that never would have had that opportunity. So I know it says in the book of Psalms, hope deferred makes the heart sick, and it's really easy to lose hope and just not really give up on your dreams, but just like, well, I don't see that it's going to happen anytime soon. But as you told me, maybe just a few days ago, the waiting is really difficult, but that's where you're going to grow. Like that's where your faith rises from, is knowing that in the waiting that God knows the desires of your heart, and sooner or later, in some form or fashion, He's going to give those to you, because those are the things that come from Him, and those are the things that honor Him. So anyway, it just may take a hot minute for you to be able to. But to their credit, the church, you are good at a lot of different things that not everybody's good at, and so that works for the benefit of others and to the detriment of you sometimes, because then that means that hey, Bailey can do this, and this. Let's just give him what everybody else can't do, instead of what he wants. And so it's just rolling with it and finding another outlet and letting him grow you in the meantime. So
and I had some, from a business aspect, that makes a lot of sense. From a spiritual discipling standpoint, doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
I think it's super, I have no ill feelings. I have put those, I did, but I've
for sure
I've worked through those things. And
I mean, you were close to where you thought, like you could see the progression. And so then it just,
I had some very key people in those years that came along right when I thought that I was about done, that just kind of reminded me of who I was, regardless of what my position or title said, and I think now, probably 7 years after I started working at the church, I kind of wrapping up that storyline, sitting down, writing, kind of thinking through all this a few weeks ago, I'm just extremely grateful. I think somewhere in that time, before I left the church, I got a call from another church in Lubbock, which is actually, where I live now. And they asked me if I wanted to be a worship pastor. So the dream, you know, basically. And like, I mean, if you're from the area, you may ask why I wanted to live in Lubbock, but I always wanted to live in Lubbock. I guess when you're from Portales, Lubbock feels like the big city.
It is the big city.
It is the big city.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, I mean, just kind of, I called you and I talked to you about this too when I got the job offer, but it kind of like seemed perfect, seemed like the thing that I always wanted, and I turned it down.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like, still to this day, I don't really know why I turned it down.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel right.
Do you feel like if they called you right now, would you turn it down again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad I turned it down, but in the moment it didn't make any sense. It didn't feel right.
Yeah.
But
I think you have to trust, you know, Holy Spirit moving and speaking into your life, you know, like if you get those gut checks, you know, if you're not a believer, you know, it's that people call it intuition or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're a believer, you're like, no, I know what a gut check is. And, you know, sometimes you don't even know the reason, but
yeah,
you know what the right answer was. And after you say that, after you do the thing that you believe you should, there's just like this weight, and you're like,
yeah,
okay, well, see what happens next. So,
yeah. And I think I truly believe that if I had said yes, it would have been fine. You know, like,
yeah,
I think just now I'm in a place where I realize my calling and I realize like what the Lord's put on my life, but like my position or my job doesn't necessarily have to match that, you know, like now I work for a company and do social media and video and stuff. And so like still not necessarily what I thought my dream was going to be, but I think I'm just really glad for it, because now I have time in my free time to do the things that I feel like I'm called to do. And I get to do those things, but I don't have the pressure of having to do that 24/7 or, you know, like it just looks different. And I'm sure, like, I know that in 10 years, it's going to look different even still, you know? And like you said, you know, I think sometimes the Lord brings those things around in a way where you're like, geez, I could have never drew this up, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, just, there's a John Piper quote that I absolutely love. You know, God's always doing 10,000 things in your life, and you may be aware of 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, you just have to believe that he's working behind the scenes. It's, you know, it's the podcast called Note to Self. So, you know, you know, I would just say, you know, keep swinging for the fences, you know, don't be afraid to fail. You know, I think that's the overarching thing in my life right now that I am dealing with, is being okay with failure. You know, like I write songs, but I don't release them. You know, I mean, it's just like that thing. Like once you put it out there, then it's able to be evaluated. And so we feel like the end result is the culmination and the reason why we do something, but really it's the journey, right? Like what we're learning and growing into through the process. So I'm super glad that you don't have a deadline or a record deal or you can just serve in the way that you want to serve, and you can be creative in the way that you want to be creative, and, you know, just leave it at that. So keep doing that, you know, and a little bit every day, and you turn around and you've got a book, or you turn around, you've got an album, and, you know, but if you don't, that's still fine too, because you're growing through the creative process, you know?
Yeah.
So
no, I think that thing that you said, like swing for the fences, you know, I think in that season where I was like, I'm just not going to dream, you know, I think that was like my way of coping with, you know, like I felt like this, and sometimes like we think of these dreams and it's like, okay, you got to lay down your dream because you believe in Jesus, and like, like, and I completely know that like his will is greater than mine. And sometimes there's going to be things that I got to lay down for him. And sometimes there's going to be things that like, I have to say no to for him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think more often than not, like the dreams and the desires and the things that we feel deep inside, like everyone is created to do something. Everyone was created with an intuition and a unique like passion and fire inside of them. And I think that like should be stoked. Like it should be, you should feed that fire. And I think you should chase things, and I think you should run after things. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people say it. But like every light's a green light unless it's a red light.
Yeah. There you go. That's good.
You know?
Yeah.
And
that's
so,
really good.
Because I think sometimes I overthink things before I step into them. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this the right thing?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, maybe if you just lived and didn't worry about everything, you know, like if you trust that you're close to him and he's going to speak to you, then he's going to put out his hand if you're about to run into something.
Sure.
You know, he's going to stop you.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think anybody's ever run the 400-meter dash by looking backwards.
No, not in, they wouldn't have placed.
Yeah.
Well, no, they wouldn't have even finished. I mean, they would have fallen over something or someone, you know?
Yeah.
You just stay in your lane.
Yeah.
You know, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, you know, the dreams we have for the most part, if they're rooted in Christ, are going to be dreams that we continue to come back to. And I think I completely agree with you. There are things that we need to lay down at the foot of the cross, and we do not need to pick them back up. And there, you know, there are any number of things that we battle for that are rooted in our own desires, fleshly desires, you know?
Yeah.
And those are things that need to be cut away, you know, put into the fire. But those things that are from God, I don't think that you're ever going to be able to truly shake something like that. You know, if you feel like a calling of music on your life, I think at some point music is going to come back around where it is a major part of your life. But if it isn't right now, it isn't right now, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be
what? Sorry.
Oh, no. It was a good ending to a sentence. It doesn't have to be. All right.
Well, my Wi-Fi crashed. So
yeah,
here we are.
All of a sudden you were just smiling and you just kept smiling. And I'm like, you've never smiled at me for that long. Are you frozen? Are you okay? And then I started texting you and then you weren't responding. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
What just happened?
So my phone hotspot is holding this whole thing together at the moment.
Oh, by a thread.
So yeah, but you know, luckily we're not on Sprint anymore. So that's nice.
Oh,
throwing shade.
No,
there goes a potential sponsor.
Well,
we can delete this episode from the archives if we need to.
Well, technically, yeah. Technically, it's T-Mobile now, so maybe Sprint wouldn't even say anything.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, you're right. Okay, look at us go.
Yeah, so we're still okay. Yep.
Yeah. So dreams.
We're not canceled. Yeah, still got the dreams. Oh, this is coming off the rails quickly. No, we were talking about you and music, and you know, one of the things that's really difficult for me right now is just having projects that I have not gotten completed that I really feel like I should get completed. And I want to finish that. But the hard thing is when I come back to it, I feel like I haven't made any momentum, which makes me feel like not doing anything, you know? Yeah. So I think the important thing is just to take a step, like just to move in that direction and then just take another step, you know, just a little bit over time is going to get you where you need to be, you know, but again, it's just all about It's all about the process, really.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have said that, even 5 years ago. I would have said, I like the ending better than I do the process, but I think the growth is what happens when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah. I'm a Disney adult, unfortunately. And so
yeah, you are.
I will always reference Disney, but Frozen 2 has a song called The Next Right Thing.
Yeah.
So lame.
There you go.
But I think honestly, I
don't think I've heard that. Could you sing a little bit of that for me?
No. No, I don't got my Elsa voice today. I'm feeling a little sicky, so yeah.
I got you.
All right. It's a little lower than it normally is, but
all right.
I mean, basically it's kind of her journey, and I'm lost. I don't know where to go, but I know I can do the next right thing. And I think kind of like you said, just take a step, just move in a direction.
Right.
I literally texted this to you maybe 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of in the same process of with music and with a couple other projects that I'm working on that are big projects. And so, part of me is I thought I would have these completed by now, and I'm still in the baby stages,
Yeah.
But I think it's so important that if you were created to do something, whether you believe in Jesus or not, if you were created to do something and you feel this burning desire to do something, so much of what you're supposed to get out of that is not the completed work. Yes, the finished work may do some awesome things. You may make a lot of money. You may impact people. You may whatever XYZ from completing it. Mm-hmm. But if you are not learning more about yourself and growing closer to him in the process of doing that, then I don't think it's worth it.
No.
Along with you cast out demons in my name, you healed the sick, but you never knew me. I think it's the same process with creativity. We can create some amazing things that have some amazing results, but if we're not closer to him at the end of it, then it really doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's not going to last.
No.
And so I think that's something that I've been thinking through as I create and as I, just take a step in these things is if I don't have you in this, I don't want it.
Right.
Even though music's my deepest desire, if I don't have music with you and I'm not growing closer to you and leading into you in the process, then take it away.
Yeah.
And I think we can just get so focused on that end result that we don't enjoy the process of making and the process of creating, which is really, if you're doing something creative, especially, and you don't enjoy the process, then you probably shouldn't be doing that creative thing.
No, because at some point it's not going to be very creative. It's just, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then it's going to show all over your face and in your work. So, so that's super important.
Okay. I feel like we've talked about the other side of the coin. So I'm curious I really don't know, but because a big motto of mine for a while was done is better than perfect. And I think we both agree on that.
Yes, we do.
So how do you make sense of that in we both cling to this idea of done is better than perfect, but then also the process is more important than the end result.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it feels like those two kind of conflict a little bit.
They do. They do. Yeah. It's like me trying not to make a decision by saying one thing and then saying, or we can do the other thing if you want to, right? Hedging my bets or whatever. I've never really, it's funny you just said that. I've never really thought of those two ideas as opposing in my head.
I don't know if they completely are, but
I don't. I think they are to a point for sure. Right now, I'm working on that project, The Fruit of the Spirit, all of these songs that I wrote, and some of them are not good. Two of them in particular, I read them and I'm like, wow, those are decent ideas to start with, but that is not I'm going to have to do something with that thing. Yeah. But when I wrote it, and had that hour to just kind of map out stuff, and kind of collect my thoughts, I was able to understand the subject material on a deeper level, you know? And even now, sitting with it and listening to different musical ideas and thinking about how I could incorporate those into what I'm going to do next is just a fun prospect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think the done is better than perfect is where, you know, I had a buddy that had a song. He had a few songs that were super close, like this far away from being
Mm-hmm.
finished. And
Yeah.
he's just kept tweaking them. Like
Yeah.
kept tweaking them. And he never released them. And he could have already done it. And he's like, nope, they're not perfect yet. Well, nobody's going to hear it. Like if you don't pull the trigger and say that that's
Mm-hmm.
good enough at some point, nobody's going to hear what you think is perfect. And I think that is the biggest thing. Like nobody's going to get to hear your idea of perfect because you're beating it to death and you're never going to release it, you know? So I think at some point in the process, when you get close and you start having those, just those thoughts of, I don't know, is this going to be received? Does this even have a place in the current, you know, system? Is this somebody already doing this? You know, all of these different questions that you could have that could hold you back from releasing it. And you could try to tweak it to make it better. At some point, you're just like, you know, I gotta go for it. You know, that's why I always say, you know, give me a deadline and I'll finish it every single time. And it's true. Like I don't like missing deadlines. So if you give me a hard deadline and you tell me I have to have this done by this time, it may hurt, but I'm going to get it done, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, they are kind of opposing though, because you are saying, you know, the journey is important, but you better get that project finished, you know? You better enjoy the journey fast because you're not going to have much of it. But I think, you know, the older I get, the more I understand that, you know, we're not promised all the time we think we have. So,
yeah. And I think it's such an American concept that like we have to do for a job what we are passionate about.
yeah.
You know, or like, you know, I mean, maybe that applies to me because I'm like still figuring out my career, but you know, like I think if something's our passion, it can just be what we are and who we are, you know, there doesn't have to be this end result attached to it.
Mm-mm.
And maybe that's like a hard concept for me to wrap my mind around, but you know, like me being a musician doesn't necessarily mean that I have to release albums or do music as a job or whatever, you know.
Right.
Like the seeking and the journey is enough.
Mm-hmm. And the growing in music and the joy that you get from it, the peace that comes from it, you know. Yeah.
It's good.
It is good. Yeah. Well, what do you think? Are we going to wrap this up?
Yeah, probably. We could stay for another hour, but
I think we probably could. I don't know if people are going to hang for that. So
that's true.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to do a 2-hour podcast next time.
Yeah, we'll see. Let us know what you want us to talk
real
about
early
too.
for that. Yeah. Yeah. So, I was talking to you about just little commercials, marketing campaigns earlier.
Yeah, good segue.
I shared the story. We were at Bacon Brothers, and one of my buddies said his 3-year-old, they were driving by one of the hardware stores, and his 3-year-old from the back seat, he says, "Look, Daddy, that's where the helpful hardware folks work." And, you know, just the idea that a 3-year-old can make that leap from, you know, I see the sign, I know the song. Anyway, so are there any songs that stick in your head that are like jingles, like from commercials and stuff?
I think you should do the ACE one for the people online that
Oh,
don't have an ACE.
so
near
I think
them.
it's Ace is the place for the helpful hardware, folks.
Yeah.
They changed it
there
to
you go.
folks.
Okay.
I don't know what it used to be. Maybe man. I don't know. They
Yeah,
changed it to
maybe so.
folks. Anyway,
Okay. That's good. That's inclusive.
so that was
I
that
like
one. Yeah. What's one that you like?
it. Ooh, we've been talking about this before, and now I don't even know.
No?
Well, I think I
What's
probably
the
would-
McDonald's one, right?
Yeah.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
good. I like Arby's, but I don't know if that's a jingle. But we have the meats.
Well, there you
That's a good
go.
one.
Like the whole
I like
marketing
that.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. It sticks in your head.
Yeah, Progressive is probably one of the best. They don't have a jingle, but like their commercials just stick out
Yeah,
to me.
there's-
Have you seen their new one? What is it? It's TV Dad. It's like a whole like
I don't think I have.
It's
I'm going to
like
have
a-
to look
yeah.
it up now.
it's like TV Dad's better than your real dad because he doesn't
Yeah.
like yell
Oh
at
my-
you and stuff.
Oh, no.
And it's like
No. I think I have seen that. I have seen that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty
That's
funny.
awesome. Yeah.
What are some other jingles you remember?
Let's see. Now that we say that, I don't even remember. That's hilarious. Well, like the Nationwide is on your side, like that one.
Yeah.
I remember, the marketing campaign, Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a whole bunch
We
of little
are
stuff.
farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum,
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 bum, bum, bum. See?
Yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
one.
So it's just brilliant. Like it doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be catchy.
It just has to be catchy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So there we go. We wrapped up a deep conversation about music again.
We didn't
with,
leave people
it doesn't have to be good.
introspective and yeah.
That's
can at least
how
leave
we
smiling.
remember. In a nutshell, just to wrap up, it doesn't have to be good. It just has to be catchy. There you go.
Deal. Got it. Makes my life way easier.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Well, all you fancy people, y'all have a great day.
Yeah. Have an awesome day.
Love you.
You have an awesome day, man. Love you.
Love you. Okay. We'll talk to y'all later at episode 5.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, comment.
Down
That's
down
it.
there.
Okay, bye.
Is that right? Is
Yeah.
it down there?
Yeah.
Up there?
Down in the description.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, we'll have links to our merch down below in this.
We have merch?
Do like a little box. Yeah, we have merch. I'm just kidding. Do a little box
Sweet.
and I can put something where your hands go.
Oh, okay. Like right. Wait.
Not
it's
over
in the
your face,
microphone.
though. Oh, there
Not
you
over
go.
my. Oh, not right there. Like here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Good job. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Uh,